Lottie licks lollies lollying in the lobby. Lonely lowland llamas are ladylike. Lazy laughing lizards lay along level logs in lowlands. 11 owls licked 11 little licorice lollipops. Lying leaders label illegal metal lighters. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Whatever You Want podcast. If you're wondering what that was, well, it's my turn to go ahead and host the thingy thing. So, yeah, we're going to have 26 episodes of random tongue twisters.
I see.
That being said, it is the Whatever We Want podcast, like I said, and I am your boy, Jazz, or you can call me Superjaz.
Superjaz.
As nature intended. Jazz, Superjaz, SJ, JT, whatever you want, what have you, and the like. And I am joined by...
You guys already know who it is, what's going on, when it's happening, where it's at, and why we're here today. How you doing? It is I, the sublimely magnificent big ugly himself, Omari, feogrande on YouTube. Sometimes, every once in a while, when he gets mad at me, I'm referred to as Pete on this show.
I'm not like your mom calling you by your like.
I'm not like lately. It's been a big deal for you. It's been a big deal for you if I bring it up, though it's not really used that often. But yes, occasionally referred to as Pete on this show. And yeah, I'm here too. I'm doing good.
And like I said,
we'll get into that in a moment.
And like I said, everybody, we got to get used to the structure again because I'm taking over it. And like I said, everybody, this is the Whatever We Want podcast where we do just that. We talk about whatever we want. We do not lead this conversation. This conversation leads us, and we let these chips fall where they may.
Every Wednesday.
Now, you were saying, sir?
I said I was doing okay earlier, and that's not true. I am actually sad. Or at least I'm assuming I'm sad, because it's Wednesday, and now we're 2 days removed from when we're filming this, where, as we speak, Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals is going on, and Boston is about to become the first team in NBA history to come back from being down 3-0 in the conference finals. Out of 156 teams...
Jesus
that
Christ,
were down 3-0. No one's come back to win it by winning 4 straight, but the Celtics did it this time.
The Lakers got swept, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember everybody was talking about, oh, shit.
We mentioned that on last week's episode.
We were talking about, will they get swept? And shout out to Big Bo. Oh, I thought Ibn was like, oh no, he was watching the TV right before we started, and it just happened.
It happened while we were talking, and sure enough, just like I said, everyone has just been talking about like he's been a fraud the whole time. It's time to admit that he was a fraud because he got swept. MJ would never.
People do that shit like, okay, you fucking LeBron or anybody, because honestly, I was actually thinking after we recorded last week, again, shout out to Ibn, after we recorded last week's episode and like I watched a little bit of it, I was like, that was a really good conversation. Just like the way everything went or whatever. And it's just like, it's so funny how people can have an amazing, top-notch, iconic career. You have one pitfall and everybody's like, he was never good. What?
Oh, yeah. People giving Skip Bayless this prize like Skip was right. Skip Bayless himself's like, I was right the whole time.
How was he never good?
He's like, what? I've been right about LeBron the whole time. It's like, damn.
It's one time?
No, it's not one time, Jazz.
Like not one time, but
he's more known for losing. The L in loss is the L in LeBron James. Or as they also say, there is no W in LeBron James.
Which I get, but it's also a dumb quote. I get it. But I get it. It's funny. No, man, it's like I say, like when we ain't got to rehash last week's episode, but we talked about Eminem and we talked about some other people like Punk, and it's just like you do one thing. Now, seeing Punk obviously was a big thing, but just I don't know. I think it's funny. Not even burnout, fade away. I think it's funny how someone can have an amazing storied career in their respective field, and then do one bad thing, and then people act like that shit never happened.
True.
And it's like, yeah. So yeah, LeBron he just got swept. Getting swept is bad, but look at the man's whole fucking career for 2 decades of playing this shit, and even if you did lose, you still had to get there in the first place all those times.
Yeah, I saw someone talking about like, Jordan in his prime wouldn't have got swept by nobody, and someone's like, "Do you think LeBron's still in his prime? He's 38."
But see,
also,
and again,
also at the end of the day, as much as people were trying to hype them up throughout the playoffs, they barely made it. They limped into the playoffs. They were a 7th seed. Them getting swept by the 1 seed technically is what's supposed to happen.
But what people say is when you're golden boy, Jesus in a Laker jersey, LeBron James, swept is not supposed to be in your vocabulary.
Yeah, losing is not supposed to be in your vocabulary.
Yeah, that's the other argument, right?
Losing is not supposed to be in your vocabulary. I get it. I understand the dichotomy of sports. But I will say, just real quick, I don't know the actual score of the game going on right now. I'm just assuming the worst.
Right. You could be wrong. We'll see. But yeah.
I highly doubt it, however, because not only is Game 7 back in Boston, not only is Boston the NBA's favorite team, as well as the Lakers. That's the 2 teams the NBA cares about more than anything else because those are the 2 biggest markets.
And that's the biggest storied rivalry of the NBA league.
And that's what they wanted this year, but they got denied that real quick by Jokic and them.
Because I mean, shit, back in the day when it was Magic and Bird, shit.
Yeah.
So
and both teams have 18 championships or 17, one or the other. There's also the fact that the referee crew for tonight consists of apparently longtime Celtics fan, a longtime Celtics fan who is unashamedly a Celtics fan gets to referee this game tonight.
Conflict of interest like a motherfucker.
Oh well, there's also the guy who Boston has won. I think the last 15 games playoff games he's refereed. Scott Foster, he's also there. A guy who gets his own theme music in Boston. He's a referee.
Only in Boston.
He's a referee who gets his own theme music in the stadium.
Yeah. And only in Boston, though.
Yes. They're like announcing running a thing. Scott Foster. And the crowd's going crazy. There was like reaction videos earlier today to people waiting to hear what officiating crew was coming so they could be like, "We got Foster! Yeah!"
Why they like him so much? Because he tends to sway in Boston's.
Because Boston is 15-0 in their last 15 playoff games that Scott Foster has officiated. And everyone knows this. And we're cool with, we kind of have to be cooler because referees are on a rotation, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, NBA, come on now. When everybody is hip to the game.
It's like back in the day, maybe still, but back in the day, we know that the mob used to fix boxing matches. They even kind of, had a story about that on Pulp Fiction. We know people shave points and do whatnot, but the whole thing is you're not supposed to say sports are rigged, but
yeah,
come on, like if you get your own theme music and the stadium is cheering because they're like, hey, we got a good chance that this dude is going to lean in our favor and possibly cheat for us, and then now you could argue that's coincidental, as crazy as that is. My man is a open Celtics fan, and unashamedly, that is conflict of interest.
The other guy, yeah. We have
right. The other dude, yeah.
Well, one of the previous series, like 3 out of the 5 refs were Celtics fans.
That would be like if you were doing like, let's say if you did, or if I did, because you were in the fighting games more than me. Let's say if there was a fighting game tournament and you were a judge or some shit like that, and I go in the thing or whatever. Well, how do you judge a fighting game tournament? Let's say that there was just something that you had to judge, whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
and then I end up competing, and it was something that had to be judged by like points, like 1 through 10 or whatever the fuck. You shouldn't be on the panel for me, vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
We know each other for over 20 fucking years. Like, this is.
Oh, it's like that one dunk contest a couple years ago where there was the last two people were a Heat player and another guy. Other guy had the better dunk, but Dwayne Wade gave him less points. Like, everybody agreed that it should be perfect, but Dwayne Wade's like, he ate the Miami guy, so I'm not gonna give him the points.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
that's all in fun.
I mean, that's a dunk contest.
All in fun. Right? That's a dunk contest. That's not really, anything too crazy. However, you shouldn't have. What I would say about the refs, in the interest of fairness, before people just go, "Oh, you just salty because you never know how to root for the right teams." What I will say is, the refs can call things however much they want. They can call like 80 fouls a game and stuff, and that's pretty much what they like to do, is call a hell of a lot of like extra fouls and ticky-tack shit, and not call them for the other team. They can do that all they want, but at the end of the day, it's still up to the players to make or miss the baskets.
This is true.
And one of those things that I don't agree with is people that say that sports are like scripted. Because, no, you can't guarantee that someone's going to make the catch when they're scripted to make it. Or someone's going to make the shot when they're scripted to make it. Because even the best shooters are not 100% of shooting. There's not even
that's true.
There's not even anybody out there who's taken a realistic amount of free throws in their career. That's 100%. The highest they get is like 93% or some shit. So that 7% margin of error is more than enough to have your scripted outcome get fucked up so many times. You can't script a man to catch a football on the side of his fucking helmet while he's getting tackled.
No. But, I mean, supposedly, and I'm not saying this is the NBA or NFL or MLB or any league, but supposedly, I believe point shaving is supposed to be not so much that you do the thing at the right time, but you purposely fail to do the thing at the right time.
And also, when it
like
comes
I
to
missed this basket on purpose, or I purposely dropped this pass or some shit.
Now, the only time I see people I would see anybody doing that is if they bet on the game, which is literally illegal.
Like fucking, that's what Pete Rose got in trouble for, right?
That's literally illegal. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, but I feel like the other thing about being scripted is we just talked about the scrutiny that comes with failure in sports. Signing up to be that scrutinized. Oh, but they get millions of dollars. No, there's too many people out there that are killing themselves over shit that's said about them.
This is facts. This is facts.
So, and it didn't matter how much money they got. So it's not just It's not just, oh, they get paid a lot, they good. They're not signing up to be, oh, this entire city thinks I'm the worst thing to happen to them in the past 15 to 20 years because I missed a shot with like 2 seconds left to go.
That's a good argument.
So there's things like that. Or like the guy that I think the 4 straight Super Bowls the Bills lost, where a couple of them were lost to missed field goals at the end, going wide left, to where they served the fries on the or at least it was a joke at one point that if you go to a restaurant in Buffalo and get like something with fries, the fries are like extra to the side and the wide left, like the field goals. I remember hearing that when I was in college. I highly doubt that's true these days, but just the fact that people can say that about you. And say that a city, you're just, or fucking I'm a fan, and I'm doing what you always do at a baseball game. I'm catching a ball that's going into the
Talking
crowd.
about the Cubs fan with the glasses and the hat
Yeah,
and shit.
Bart
That dude,
Scott or whatever his name is.
you know his fucking name? Of course you do,
It's
because
probably
his
not
name's
Bart
actually out
Scott.
there.
I want to say Bart Scott is like not the guy, but it's
But you're talking
some
about the
dude.
Cubs fan that
Yes,
like tried to catch the ball and mess the outfield
yes,
up.
yes. That
I
dude.
remember. I remember for Halloween that year, because it wasn't that far away, obviously. Because I think September is when the league season is over. I remember for Halloween that year, the big Halloween thing they have. I think in the Central West End in St. Louis, the area of St. Louis, people are watching who aren't familiar. But the big Halloween big thing they have where people can come and compete for money and shit. And I remember like a few people went as that dude for Halloween, like glasses, a cap, jacket, and they were just kind of walking around looking like, oops. It was just like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's like
wow.
yeah, that
That's
was
how
not
famous he
something
got.
you should have done. Cause that dude got the death threats and everything.
Man.
Because not saying that he deserved them, because he did not.
No, he
In
didn't
fact, my
have
point is that he does not deserve all that. However, that is how people react to things when they come to sports, and the people they can blame on a loss for their team and the city being or continuing to be quote unquote irrelevant.
And what's so fucked up about the dude, the sports fan, the Cubs fan dude, is if you look, it wasn't just his pair of hands trying to catch it. He just happened to be the pair of hands that touched the ball. It
Yep.
was a lot of people trying to catch that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You did it. It's like, bitch, you were trying to, but you did it though.
But
Yes,
but you caught it.
You did it.
I pulled my hand. I only didn't catch it because I pulled. The only reason you were the one to fully catch it is because I pulled my hand back when I saw the player trying to catch it. I didn't catch it because I realized I shouldn't. You still caught it. What? Get out of here.
Or like the dude, or like
Hindsight's
somebody
50-50.
or somebody else will be like, well, I didn't catch it because you were closer and your hands touched it. My hands were outstretched and I was trying, but you see, I didn't touch it, so I'm blameless. He pulled his hands back. My hands didn't even make contact either. You did it, bitch. I did feel sorry for that dude, and I still do to an extent. But I mean, after a while, stuff does die down. Like if we looked him up, we could probably find him. But anybody talking about him?
Oh no, he's fine now. Remember, they finally won after 108 years in like 2016 or something.
To where they had to change the end of that movie Fever Pitch with Jimmy Fallon.
No, that's Boston.
No, it's the Red Sox. It's Red Sox.
Yep, that's Boston.
That's funny. But yeah, they had to change the ending of that movie because it was supposed to be about the fact that Boston hadn't won. So it was like I'm dating you, but I'm a diehard fan of a losing team. But then shortly in the run of them like filming and promoting that movie, the team won. So then they were like, they lose, but then they won. So they had to change that shit. That's funny.
Do you remember who they beat?
What was it, the Cardinals?
Yes, in humiliating fashion, actually. They swept us.
I don't remember who they beat. I don't remember who he played opposite. Who's his love interest? Drew Barrymore?
I don't know. I didn't watch the fucking movie.
You just know because of some Boston St. Louis shit.
Yeah.
Sit your ass down. You and his fucking...
No, that's who they beat that year.
No,
but I'm just laughing. The Cardinals, they swept us. It was humiliating.
I'm just laughing because the fact that you I didn't see the movie, but I definitely know what happened because, I fucking...
I know that you said it. They changed the ending because they ended up winning the World Series finally. And the team that they beat to end that streak was the Cardinals.
It was Drew Barrymore. That's what I thought, yeah. When Ben Reitman, a young teacher, begins dating pretty businesswoman Lindsay Meeks, the two don't seem to have a lot of the same interests, but they fall in love regardless. The romance goes well until baseball season begins, and Lindsay soon realizes that Ben is completely obsessed with the Boston Red Sox. Though she tries to understand Ben's passionate team loyalty, eventually it threatens to end their otherwise happy relationship. This shit came out in 2005. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Time be flying.
For Boston fans, they have to go like 2 years in between finals. Damn. can you imagine the drought that city has felt? That's what they were talking about at the end of Game 6 when the Celtics became one game away from going back to the finals. They're like, and think about the poor Boston fans. How long it's been without a championship for those Boston fans. How long they have suffered. They were in the finals 2 years ago. I mean, they lost, but they were in the finals 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, we talking about the Lakers getting swept, but if you want to talk, it couldn't have been that long since the Lakers like got a championship or some shit.
2020.
That's not long at all.
No, I
That's
didn't say it was.
But yeah, so I'm just saying, yeah, like
Yeah, at least they won the last time they were in the finals. But I'm not even that big a Lakers fan. I just
if St. Louis had a basketball team, like a legit basketball team, do you think that it would be what's the? I'm trying to find my words. I'm trying to find the best words. I don't know. There's too much up in the air for how I was going to phrase what I was going to phrase. Like I was going to say, do you think that it'd be beneficial and worth it? And of course it would. People would fucking definitely do that because we ain't had a basketball team since the fucking like 70s when the Hawks apparently left for Atlanta and never came back. So I don't know what I was going to say. I was going to say like do whatever the fuck. But yeah, no, it would be nice for St. Louis to have a basketball team.
It would.
It'd be nice for us to get a football team again.
Mm-hmm.
We do have baseball and we have hockey. So, and I mean, apparently, we got the XFL, depending on how huge that hits. But yeah.
Yeah, if it has another season, we got us.
The shortage.
The Battlehawks.
I think the biggest thing. I mean, obviously, anything in the public eye, you want an audience. But I think the biggest thing for the XFL is the shortage on the team. Like the number of teams, I think that could be a biggest hindrance for that shit.
USFL is doing just fine with about the same number of teams.
Didn't even know it existed.
Yeah,
not that me not knowing dictates, but still.
More people know about them than know about the XFL because USFL does this thing called advertise. And be on like Fox and stuff and have them talk about like it on the shows like, oh, this week we got the USFL game. Like no one was really talking about the fucking XFL for this time around. 2020 they were. This time around, Rock did not do really that well with that. But next year at least we can try again if it happens at all. We're gonna need some teams are gonna need to have some kind of way of improving to where the fans are going to show up.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just like you said a little earlier, no matter what happens as far as like, putting the team there or whatever, there still has to be a certain level of people doing what they need to do when it's time to do it. Because it ain't scripted. It shouldn't be scripted, at least. Mm-hmm. So it's like, we can't script a good game. Y'all just need to actually have one to make us watch this shit.
Exactly. But it's also just like some fan bases embrace the XFL this time around. Seattle, Washington, us. And I want to say Houston. I could be wrong. But then there's ones like Orlando, Vegas, where the people were barely interested to begin with, and then the teams were terrible on top of it. So that did not help because one thing that's gonna stop people from watching their new whatever team is knowing that it's going to be a bad experience because you're gonna go home disappointed, and
you're not gonna want to buy tickets.
Yeah,
if you think you're gonna be wasting your money and time.
I had a coworker who was contemplating getting season tickets. Just for the hell of it. Yeah, why not? It's Orlando's new team. Let's do it. He could technically afford to, but he wasn't sure if he liked the league because he didn't really watch it in 2020. And so he ended up not getting the season tickets, and then about halfway through the season, it's like, boy, I dodged a bullet by not getting those season tickets.
That's what I'm saying. And
he's like, have you even been to a game? I'm like, no, I'm a Battlehawks fan.
That thing is, and it's like when you put on Stuff like that. Like I said, like you can do everything necessary. Pay people the appropriate amount, scout the people that you can definitely afford and are good, production value as far as like, the lights, the way it looks on TV, camera angles, all this shit. But you can't make people play good. That's the only thing. And it's one of those things where it's like I didn't see what was it way past his prime, but years ago when they had Mayweather versus Pacquiao, which was like probably the last big boxing match that it was a big deal. I didn't see it, but I heard it was ass.
It was.
And it was like the thing was they had already got the money. So it was like I guess it kind of works but doesn't work for my example because they already got your money. But you can't make them have a good boxing match. They have to get in there and actually have a good boxing match. So
yep. No, I saw Mayweather Pacquiao. It was one of the. It's probably still the only boxing thing I've seen. Well, major boxing thing I've seen live. And it was not good. But that's more because of a lot of other things that led up to it. The fact that it happened like 3 years after,
way after everybody wanted to see
have.
Yeah.
And Mayweather, as gifted as he is, and it's just his style, but
he's not conducive to what you
not
like.
The most entertaining from what I like. I would have loved if the Mayweather era was my childhood and the Tyson era was like my adulthood, so that I could see Tyson live. Because Tyson, that kind of shit, just punch the shit out of people.
Yeah, my dad said, what did he say? My dad said that Mike Tyson would be like so bad for, a boxing like pay-per-view, like party night or whatever, because it's like you get everybody over, you get popcorn, you get food, you get all this shit, and then Tyson knock him out in the first minute. You're like, what the fuck? Which is amazing, but it would kill the party.
But I love that shit. I love those kind of characters in like anime and then TV and fiction. Those motherfuckers that it's just, I'm here and I'm just gonna beat the shit out of that dude. Oh god, he killed him. Alright, well this guy's gonna be good, right? Fucking Brock Lesnar's a good example of, even when I can morally agree with that, okay, maybe he shouldn't be booked to beat this person in whatever situation. Like, sometimes, you get those moments where it's like, did we really need Brock Lesnar to come out here and do this to this person? No, we could have done this with somebody else. There are times where I can look at that from the logical standpoint that says that, but the person of me that's just watching a TV show is just like, and there's Brock Lesnar again. Oh, you messed up. Here comes Brock. Like this whole Cody thing, and why is he attacking Cody? And people looking for some deeper meaning, like maybe Triple H told him to or some shit. Or maybe Brock Lesnar, who's known to just beat people up for no reason,
especially in the later years where he's having fun doing it, decided
to beat up Cody, hear me out, for no reason. It's just, hey Cody, you looked at Brock funny, or Brock thought it would be funny. He's like, let me team up with you. Actually, you know what I think would be more fun? Beating the shit out of you. What?
And then Brock went to and then he went to UFC and showed that he legitimately can whoop that ass. Not just like fake pretend fighting. I legitimately can beat that ass.
Best thing he could have done for his wrestling career
was
the UFC thing. Because then when he comes back and starts shitting on people, it
was already believable. It was already believable. Now it's like for real believable.
It's like you can't script UFC. This man ended Randy Couture. Oh yeah, you right. This dude's a real dude.
Because on the flip side, CM Punk, who was one of the best wrestlers to ever do it, went to UFC and got that ass whipped. So
You know who else went to well, not UFC, but MMA and did good for himself?
Shamrock.
Well, he's the OG one.
Facts.
But,
He is. He was like back in the attitude era.
yeah, I think he did MMA and then wrestling.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he did the other way. I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure he was MMA and then wrestling.
Because that was the whole thing. Was back then it was like it's the attitude era where everybody is edgy, crazy, and can whoop that ass. And Ken Shamrock was even more could whoop that ass. And him and Steve Blackman. Steve Blackman didn't have a lot of charisma, but it was like this man legit black belt. He could beat that ass. Anyway,
Steve Blackman's a bounty hunter now.
He can beat that ass. He can fucking kill you.
Lethal weapon, lethal. The fucking Titantron. Lethal weapon.
Anyway, who else with the UFC?
Well, not UFC, but MMA. Bobby Lashley did it.
Yeah, that's right.
Remember back in the days where the Wikipedia article had the entries?
I never saw that. You said that. I never saw
it's still a thing.
I don't believe you, but I never saw it.
Well, I say back in the day because it's not a thing anymore. But
anyway.
And when I was in college, it definitely was a thing where you could type Black Lesnar in Wikipedia and it just goes straight to Bobby Lashley. The fact
I
of
can't believe that you could go to Wikipedia.com and type in Black Lesnar.
Yeah, this is probably pre-20 teens when the social awakening occurred, and where websites were like, we probably should remove things like this.
Right.
But that was a thing, and yeah, the fact that they had both left to do MMA is just you didn't hear about Lashley as much, but he had a favorable record in MMA too because look at the guy. Yeah. And then sure enough, when he comes back now, he's still like he had the TNA run too, and that's where I got to meet him when hold the belt and stuff.
He's huge in person, isn't he?
Oh my god, yeah. Those belts are fucking heavy too, and I'm pretty sure it was just a replica because he's traveling with it. But damn, that replica's made as if it was the real thing. That thing was heavy.
But I'm saying in person, I know because the average wrestler who doesn't look huge on TV is huge in person. So I can imagine someone who looks huge looks like in person.
Yeah, like a good example of the whole looking huger in person are people like Xavier Woods and Kenny Omega for me. Cause
Xavier Woods doesn't look big, but he looks like he has big ass biceps. He does. But
on TV, either way, like he's taller than me, but not much taller than me. Xavier Woods, and meeting him in person. So you see that on TV, and you're like, okay, but then you see him, you see just how big his arms are, and they've only gotten bigger since the time I met him. Same thing with fucking Kenny Omega, but it was like, damn, they weren't as okay, so they're about proportionally as tall as I thought they were, but damn, those arms are huge.
Right, man. That's what I'm saying. I remember back when it was still Legacy time. That's crazy. Which WrestleMania, what was it, 26, which was the one that had, one of the best matches within the last, 15 years or what, Michael's Taker 2, and then one of the worst matches in the same WrestleMania, which was Brett Vince ill. But I remember just seeing of the wrestlers. I have a video of my fucking YouTube channel under my real name or whatever. But I remember meeting them, and they were I remember Cody Rhodes back then, and I remember thinking this dude is big as shit, and he didn't even look like that. And I remember Jillian Hall when she was still doing her thing. Jillian Hall was there, and of course all the makeup she had on, some heels and shit. And I was like, this woman is Hollywood glammed up, and I never even looked at Jillian Hall like that for real. Never thought she was ugly, but I was like, this woman fucking gorgeous. Just seeing it in person.
Hall, the one with the bad singing?
The bad singing, and she had the growth until Boogeyman ate it. Which is fucking nasty.
She had what?
The growth on her face. You remember that growth on her fucking face?
I don't.
You don't remember that?
She was mid 2000s, right? She was she was
Mr.
mid
Griffin.
aughts or whatever. So that's probably I wasn't watching as faithfully then. Like I
Okay.
stopped for a while because I was mainly
But
video
she was
games
bad. She was
and
bad
stuff.
singing. She would come out with the headset. And I mean, before we make this too much of just a straight, like, wrestling podcast, but
Whatever. We don't do First Sunday anymore.
facts, but still. Um, but she was like, her whole thing was bad singing gimmick. I forgot who initially brought her out, but she was bad singing. She had the like Britney Spears headset, and she would come out and sing bad on purpose. And she had this big ass growth. You can look it up and probably find it. She had this big ass growth on her face, like it was literally like that big.
Damn.
Like it didn't come out like
Yeah.
my fist, but it was as big as my fist, like round wise, and it was just there, and it was like this big ass fucking like wart looking type shit, and it was just on her face for like a few months, and then it was just like what the fuck. So the way they decided to write off that the growth got like gone was Boogeyman weird ass fucking went up to her and like creeped her out and did all this crazy oh my god shit. She's like, eh. And then fucking plucked the growth off her face and ate the shit. Bruh, you can't make this up because the thing is,
Weird ass.
you could, the Boogeyman, I really mean, from since I've been watching wrestling.
I know what you mean. That's why I'm laughing.
Zoom muted you. What'd you say?
I know what you mean. That's why I'm laughing. But go ahead.
But I was gonna say, I really mean this too. Boogeyman, from since I've been watching wrestling to the old school shit I've watched and all the wrestling that I know, I think Boogeyman is one of the best gimmicks. Match wise, I haven't seen him in too much of his matches. He wasn't bad. Gimmicks, Boogeyman is one of the best gimmicks ever in wrestling. Like just straight gimmicks. Boogeyman weird ass fucking did this shit and then fucking plucked his glove off, and it was one of the nastiest fucking segments. Cause this man fucking went up to this little like pretty blonde scared woman and plucked this glove off her face and y'all and he Boogeyman, so y'all nasty and shit.
If
And
not,
fuck,
if not one of the best gimmicks, definitely fucking Undertaker level commitment to the bit.
that man was fucking committed. Yeah.
Like, and that's what makes him like memorable in my regard is the fact because he went so hard on that gimmick. He's like, oh, I guess I'm the boogeyman and I'm coming to get you. And let me
That motherfucker.
break a clock on my head and eat some worms and literally eat live worms every fucking show. And yes, they made him sick, but he did it anyway because he was
made him
committed
sick?
to the bit. Yes.
Oh, you like know for a fact they made him sick? That's funny.
I believe I saw that he said it or whatever. Yeah.
That is commitment to a fucking bit. Because his whole thing was he was some weird like shaman type whatever the fuck shit, and he would fucking do all this shit and everything, and it was just like, but nah, he would like I remember one segment, Charmel, Booker T's wife Charmel, they were doing something, and to fuck with Booker T and both of them really. Boogeyman put like fucking worms in his mouth and then kissed Charmel with the worms still in his mouth, and she was like, oh. Man, no, that's good times, man. Clearly, wrestling, clearly, by anybody who knows us, let alone watches this channel and this podcast or whatever, clearly wrestling has been a mainstay in our lives and has brought us many good memories.
Oh man. So, hey, we've received requests to talk about wrestling that's not necessarily modern day numerous times.
Facts.
So I don't think it's bad for us to dip in that well.
Not per se. What I was gonna say was I can't think of off the top of my head, because of course it has to be something, but off the top of my head, I can't think of anything necessarily that I've been watching as long as religiously as pro wrestling. Yeah, because that was one of the first things that you, me, and Ibn bonded on.
Oh yeah, if you to excuse the random breaks that I would take over the years, I would.
All us diehards have taken breaks.
Okay, I would say I will agree with that because yeah, anything else that I've been into as long isn't as continuous of a thing. The second. I will agree with you because I'm not even up to date on the other thing I could think of.
which is
Proportionally to the history of the series itself, I was thinking X-Men, but I'm damn near a decade behind now. So,
I would say for me, the closest thing for me would be because you have to keep up with it because so many of the references are fucking in the know shit for the shit to hit hard is battle rap. I started watching battle rap kind of when I was in high school ish, which was like I think I maybe started watching it in 07, 8 ish. And then like over time I've been consistently still watching this shit and I still watch it now. Because like I said, you have to so much and the people within battle rap, like you know the cameramen, some of the rappers, some of the media that talks about it, all this shit or whatever. A lot of people have said here and there one of the reasons why battle rap would probably never be able to go fully full mainstream is one talking about fucking killing and a whole bunch of crazy ass shit that they don't mean, but it's talking about that might be too much for mainstream. But if we get past that, so much of it is in crowd incestuous. Incestuous is the wrong word, but so much of it is yeah, I know. I've heard somebody has said incestuous, and I thought that's not the right term, bro. That means wanting to fuck your brother. But anyway, but no, so much of the shit is like in the know references because there's been like battle rap like rap battles that I've watched where someone has made a fucking like reference, like said a line. The entire fucking arena lit the fuck up, including me, like, oh shit. And if you weren't watching or keeping up with what's going on behind the scenes type shit that everybody knows about, that ain't gonna mean shit to you. So this entire place is like, ah! And meanwhile, you just like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, Jazz, you may not have heard it, but because I, sent you the invite to our meeting on Facebook and had it open, the computer alert popped up when I got a message from somebody. With a score of 103 to 84.
Oh, shit.
103 to 84.
Which is a pretty fucking bad, like...
It's a 19-point difference. The Miami Heat beat the Celtics.
Ah, shit. Okay, you made it seem like... Okay. So is that 4-0?
No, it was 4-3.
Oh, I thought you said they would come back.
They were down 3-0, and they won tonight, they would have won the series. So they would have.
They were down 3-0,
and tonight was game 7.
They made it 3-3. Okay.
Yeah, tonight was game 7, is what I was saying.
I thought you were saying they're gonna start.
No, they had won 3 straight and looked like.
That's why you were saying they really had a good.
And they looked like they were poised to be the first team to ever come back. But no, the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference, Miami Heat, are going to the finals to face the 1 seed in the Western Conference, Denver Nuggets. That's hilarious to me.
Which is like the one team, like, was it team up? No, the one matchup that a lot of people apparently didn't want to see. Well, I'm saying because like weren't you and Ippen on Twitter talking about if it's the Nuggets and the Heat, they only gonna watch it?
Nuggets Celtics.
Nuggets Celtics.
Because I don't like the Celtics or most Boston teams. But I also don't while I have no problem with Joker because he's really good and Jamal Murray is good too, give him his props. They play for Stan Kroenke.
And Stan Kroenke is the dude that said, fuck St. Louis with the Rams.
Yes. He owns the Denver Nuggets. So a Nuggets-Celtics final is not one that I was going to watch. Because who am I rooting for? I'm either rooting for more validation for Stan Kroenke or for the Boston Celtics, which I'm not going to do. I don't care if Jason Tatum's from St. Louis. I'll root for him when he plays for one of the 29 other teams. The bottom line is He's a Celtic. I'm
What
sorry.
was I gonna say? We were talking about that at work though, because like I said, I don't really watch basketball like at all. Not that I'm opposed to it. I just but we were talking about that at work, especially with some dudes who really watch the shit, and some of my coworkers, and we were saying that the thing is with Nuggets Celtics, Nuggets Heat, but even more so Nuggets Celtics. Obviously, they would have wanted it to be Lakers and like Warriors or something because
Lakers Celtics. That's what
or
they
for
wanted.
well, I'm saying for casuals, there's no stars like big names on the teams now, for real.
You got Jimmy Butler. Oh, sorry. You got okay. So
I'm talking about for casuals,
uh,
like
hear me
yeah.
out, and I'm telling you that these are names that have at least been heard a lot in the past couple of years, even for casuals. On the Nuggets, which to your credit, people still forget about that team, and that's part of why they were pissed this whole playoffs. You have Nikola Jokic, who was the two-time, should have been three-time MVP,
His name is
and
starting to really pick up steam lately.
yeah,
I've
he
noticed.
was yeah, like I said, two-time NBA MVP. Should was about to be a three-time NBA MVP, but Kendrick Perkins went on the TV and said, "If you vote for Nikola Jokic to be MVP, you are racist." He didn't use those exact terms, but he's like, "Oh, look at other people who got three MVPs straight: Steve Nash and so and so, so and so. What did they have in common? I'll wait." So he pretty much went on TV and said, "You're racist if you make Nikola Jokic MVP a third time in a row." Um, so they gave it to Joel Embiid, who got eliminated by the Celtics.
And I've heard of Joel Embiid. Yeah.
And Joel Embiid did not look good in his playoff exit. He did not go out MVP style, if you would. So people really are like, why did we give this to Joel? Did we really just fall for the we just fell for the mix up. um,
Not everything is always racist. Not to say that things are not racist, because of course they are, but not everything is always
I mean, when the
racist.
dude's playing better than he's playing better than you, like.
Right, like, but anyway, without going into that conversation, you were
But
saying names of
so Nikola Jokic, you probably would have at least heard that name or the
his
Joker.
name is really getting bigger as yeah, so yeah.
On the Heat, you just have Jimmy Butler or Jimmy Buckets or
I've heard
whatever
that. I've
else you
heard
want to
that name.
say. That's who you got on the Heat, because it's Jimmy Bucket or sorry Jimmy Butler and about seven undrafted players. Uh, they have no business being here, but here they are. Now, I say no business. I say no business in the sense that you wouldn't expect an eighth seed consisting of Jimmy Butler and a bunch of question marks. And well, then there's the Duncan Robinsons and whatever others from like a couple years ago, the last time the Heat were in the finals. Uh, but you wouldn't expect them to be, especially when one of their big players from this season got injured going into the playoffs. So it's like they shouldn't be here, but they are. And because they are, I am still going to continue rooting for them. I've definitely got a team to root for in the finals now because fuck Stan Kroenke.
But that's what I'm saying, right? And obviously, if they would have wanted it to be that way, then obviously we would have had our LeBrons, what's his name, Anthony Davis, and our Clay Thompsons, and our Steph Currys, and our Draymond Greens, because those are like, especially Steph Curry and LeBron, those have transcended NBA fandom stars.
To be fair, the NBA got what they wanted in kind of that regard. The Lakers had to face the Warriors in the second round of the Western Conference.
And
So they got Curry versus LeBron.
Probably had the most ratings that it's like had this playoff run too.
Pretty much. Because remember, I think I even mentioned it then. They were trying to say during that series that if Curry beat LeBron, then he replaces him on the all-time list. Or a couple of analysts were trying to say that. They're like, if Curry beats LeBron this year, does that mean this was actually Steph Curry's era and not LeBron's?
It's like they say,
What happened
man.
to all the other shit? Well, Curry would have 5 rings if he wins a championship. He'd have 5 rings to LeBron's 4, 3 of which against LeBron. So
Like they
you
say,
can make
man.
the argument he was the superior player.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown because you are expected. Once you get it, you are expected to do so much to keep it. And like we said earlier in this fucking episode, if you do one little thing, you were never good, which is the dumbest shit ever. But heavy is the fucking head.
Well, remember, people. I think I mentioned in a previous thing. People attach their opinions to things, and then they wear it. You choose to be a fan of a team, your reputation is now affected by how that team or player does. You say, I like LeBron James, you better hope he keeps giving you a reason for people to not look at you like you an idiot when you say that. Or the people that go, let's say, just to be the opposite, I like, you know, Carmelo Anthony out of this draft. And then as the years go on, Carmelo Anthony doesn't win any rings, but LeBron's winning rings and getting all this adulation. And you're like, man, they need to talk about my dude. Man, that LeBron dude ain't even that good. Oh, look, this Skip Bayless guy agrees. Why everybody saying LeBron's the best? He brings up a good point. He doesn't make a lot of free throws. He doesn't do this. And then people are like, but literally everything else LeBron does is good. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, well, fuck y'all. These fucking idiots thinking that LeBron is really good when he has blah, blah, blah. So now you're looking for more examples of why you were right to pick what you picked, while they have examples of why they had picked what they picked. But eventually, LeBron starts losing, and you have more vitriol. Now they have to look like they're desperate, and now you guys are both trying to defend yourselves' opinions so much as different sides of the argument that you form a demonization of yourself in the other side of the argument's mind. And that's not just sports. It used to be something that was like mainly for sports and pop culture, but eventually that's what our politics became as well. And
Well, that's why
everybody hates each other now.
Well, that's like I was gonna say, like the way you were talking, it reminded me of made me think of a rap. Like people say, well, who's your top 5 favorite? Like who's the top 5 best rappers?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all the list always has at least the 2 names, Biggie and Pac, and a lot of times you might see Jay-Z, and then heavily debatable, especially now, but Eminem, whatever. Then Nas might show up or whatever. Okay, cool. Or, a lot of, but the whole thing is like, let's say you were to throw on somebody who may be worthy, but isn't always a name picked. Like, let's say you said, or like a Kendrick Lamar is another like modern day choice. And everybody I named is worthy of being possible top 5. I 100% say that. But let's say somebody threw in there and said, hey, I listen to some different shit. I don't know. Like for me, my favorite rapper of all time, and I'm not saying, for example, I'm saying my favorite rapper of all time is Lupe Fiasco. My biggest like influence when I make my rhymes or whatever. Somebody look at me like I'm fucking crazy for saying that shit. My cousin who raps, and he didn't say this in any inflammatory type of way or whatever, but he was just saying, and I can see where he gets it from, but he was like, oh, well, I can see why you say that, but some people I talk to, they think Lupe Fiasco is boring. And it's like, yeah, and somebody could probably look and be like, the fuck, Lupe Fiasco? The hell? Kick push? But it's like, there's way more to it than just kick push and superstar. So I could see some people, or let's say, you say, you know what? When it comes to it, you throw some underground shit in there, and you throw a name motherfuckers ain't even really fucking heard of, but he has been doing it forever. I really like lyrics. And now this is an example. I really like lyrics. A$AP Rock. Who the fuck is that? This white dude who fucking raps nonsense? Now, for me, if somebody said A$AP Rock, he really is some dude out there who's put out some shit that, again, not my, top 10 or whatever. But lyrics, the man is crazy. Somebody could be like, what? That white dude who raps nonsense, who's underground as fuck, what in the hell are you fucking talking about? Blobbity, blobbity, bloobity, blue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but I can see why somebody who, if they really did like rap, would say that because that man has super crazy layered ass rhymes. It ain't my cup of tea, but I respect the fuck out of it. Or
Yeah.
somebody could say fucking Tech Nine. Tech Nine ain't on my top 5, top 10 list.
I actually
But
know somebody who was crazy about Tech Nine.
Tech Nine's I respect Tech Nine's longevity. I respect Tech Nine's fast rap ability. I respect Tech Nine's wordplay. I respect a lot about Tech Nine. He's got a song or two I like here and there. But for me, Tech Nine's stuff ain't my cup of tea because mainly his flow. His flow is unique as shit to him. I respect Tech Nine, like I said, but most of the time, I'm just not a fan of it because he's like, but no syllable goes on. No syllable is unnecessary. Like you can tell he plots his shit, but it's just not my thing. But it's like you saying that reminded me of people saying like, you ain't got Pac in your top 5. What? Jay-Z ain't in your top 10? You
Reggie,
got
Biggie, Tupac, Reggie, Jay-Z, Tupac, and
Reggie,
Biggie.
Jay-Z, Tupac, and Biggie. Andre
Andre
Outkast,
Nas,
Jada Corrupt, Nas,
Jada
and
Corrupt Nas.
yeah.
None of them?
Yeah. But when I'm not put on this list, this shit is not offend me because half of you motherfuckers got a problem with me. Yeah. But no, you got Eminem in your top 5? What? So it's just man.
Even I know better than that.
It's with everything, dude. So I mean, who's to fucking say? Like if me and you were to sit up here and have a whole other conversation about who's like the top 5 best actors or some shit, there's a whole fucking thing with that because
Mm-hmm.
oh shit, you're not, you're ignoring the classics. Oh shit, what about today? Okay, wait a minute, comedy doesn't count.
Wait a
You
minute.
know,
You want to bring that person up? Did you see this one movie that they did out of their entire catalog where they phoned it in? That clearly invalidates them ever being considered for top 5. What? But that's also why when people ask me that kind of shit, I'm like, unless it's something I'm fairly certain I know a lot about, I generally qualify my answers with favorites over objective best. I'm like,
that's
all
why
right.
that's why I said if me and you were to talk about top 5, it would have to be something like who's your favorite actor because we could
Mm-hmm.
probably talk about that. But like I said, if you start talking about it, it's like what? No love for Sidney Poitier, no love for Robert Redford. You're only naming modern day people, and then we do that, and it's like, well, what about Natalie Portman or fuck? What about Mahershala Ali or some shit? People who aren't that well known. Like, what about that shit? Like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, what about the old school? What about the new school? It's like, there, and then like I said, comedy. It's like, wait, well, what
Sir
Martin
Humphrey,
Lawrence?
yeah, Sir
Huh?
Humphrey Bogart was one of the best people of my own day. Like, calm
Right,
down. I
man.
don't know if
No love for, like I said, no love for the comedy. What about Robin Williams? What about
What about Donald O'Connor?
Martin Lawrence? Wait a minute, he never did any super drama, but the man was an amazing, and which everything I'm saying is true. The man was an amazing actor, but it's like, oh shit, he doesn't get it because of So there's no winning when it comes to shit like what you're saying. Yes, and like you said, which you've said a lot, and to an extent, I very very much agree. People do equate opinions with intelligence, which is why the second you say some shit, people are like, "What the fuck?" And then a lot of it is too, especially when it comes to rap. Sports are the same way, but especially like rap because it's music. People, music gets people through a lot, or people just live with music more. So when you say that a certain artist is bad, they almost feel like you're attacking, if not them, you're
Yeah,
attacking like their happiness.
yeah,
So that's what it comes when it comes to music and shit.
exactly.
Like so and so, like Tupac got me through so much. How can you not say Tupac was, blah blah blah?
Oh, so you saying you don't like it? So you saying someone has to be stupid to like it? You saying I'm stupid for liking this person? How dare you? You stupid. Clearly, you don't know music like I know music.
Like I'm not saying this as in like, fuck you, or like I even took it hard in any way. But like when Ibn was on last time and I mentioned a little thing about Eminem, and Ibn, who is really into music more than me, and I'm into this shit, was like, wait, what? And almost like was like almost did we just had the conversation, feeling conversation, I ain't feeling right. But he almost was like, didn't want to let me talk because it was just like, wait, what the fuck are you saying? So that's what I mean. When you really feel a way about this shit, yeah, people are like, wait, what the fuck? Because music gets people through shit, and you live with music. You feel a certain way. So that's why. But just in general, man. But that being said, who is your favorite actor?
Favorite actor? I've been trying to think of this as I've watched and been doing stuff on, my other show. This guy hasn't seen.
I don't really know if I have one. I had one.
And I try to base it on people that I don't know. Either I couldn't get enough of watching as a kid, or something that I've noticed just influence wise, even if I couldn't tell you why in my life, that just kind of ended up being things. So people, and I prefer comedy because I like laughing and stuff like that.
Comedy doesn't get enough love for how like talented you have to be to do it.
Yeah. And again, this is favorite, not objective, though.
Right.
I will say, not in a comedy sense, but in terms of acting, you have your Samuel L. Jacksons and Denzel.
Okay.
Comedy and influence factor, Jim Carrey.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Bernie Mac.
Yes, okay.
I don't think I was as influenced by Eddie Murphy, but maybe a little. I know I like a lot of old Eddie. As he kept going, I wasn't sure. Like, there was a period of Eddie where I got burnt out, but I guess the same thing can be said about Jim Carrey. But I guess that's a lot of actors in general.
That you burnt out.
Yeah, once they
get not you, but a person can.
Yeah, once they hit their like heyday, where it's like, hey, everyone finally realized how awesome this person is. Put him in everything. And then people are like, why is this guy in everything? Yeah, I'm not bored with him.
That's how you fucking make money. You become a brand.
Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah. Right. And I think there are people who have those kind of brands that I ended up following a lot just because I like the way they do things. So generally people like that. I think they've been the most...
Jay-Z said in the song, I'm not a businessman, I'm a businessman.
Yeah, and I think one of the more influential, because we were joking about it when we watched the movie, and I'm like, I guess subliminally influential of one particular performance on me that we discovered watching the movies was Tales from the Hood, Clarence Williams.
I did watch that review, and the way that you were like, I didn't realize that most of who I am, like my sense of humor and whatnot, probably comes from this portrayal. And then Bill was like, shout out to Bill. Bill was like, yeah, I was thinking that too.
Yeah, like right off the bat, he's like, well, I know. I think it was like, I think we both said like from the get-go when he first just shows up with the just something about the big ass smile and crazy face he had that just, I'm like, yeah. So, and yeah, people like Jim Carrey in general and him, when it comes to the whole making faces and doing funny voices and shit, those kind of people, that appealed to me as a kid. And eventually, I started liking to make faces at people and make people laugh and do stuff like that.
I never really had a favorite actor, or like, I mean, of course I have like, oh, so-and-so's in it, I'm going to watch it, but it was never like, so-and-so's in it, I have to watch it. Like one of my really, really good friends, really good friend of mine, his favorite actor of all time, and he unabashedly like owns it, and it's a great pick, is Tom Hanks. He's like, I love fucking Tom Hanks. And what? How is that funny?
My former boss at work, that was his least favorite actor.
Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, just to go with the whole thing about us talking about people with different opinions and
Right.
people thinking you're stupid for disagreeing with them, he did not understand. He would go on rants because he was old too. He was an old white dude about like he doesn't respect people's opinions if they think Tom Hanks is a good actor.
So
Like
basically,
that's
my
how
good
anti Tom Hanks he
would think that my good friend was a jackass, apparently. But what's so funny is one of my tour mates when I was going on like an acting tour or whatever for a second. We were talking about catching up while we ride in the van or whatever, and I said something about that, and like my friend thinks Tom Hanks is good. This was a few years ago, and he was like, "I actually think Tom Hanks is terrible," and blah 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 blah. And I texted my friend. He couldn't believe he said that shit. It was the funniest thing in the world. But my inspiration for acting, and now like not like I guess inspiration, not like oh I got into acting because of this guy but it was kind of like a what's the word? It was kind of like a refreshing kind of thing, and it made me feel like okay, yeah, I dig it. Was I can't find the best way to rephrase my words, but if you follow me, was not anymore. Before a minute, it was Jesse Eisenberg. That is a weird choice, but Jesse Eisenberg, in a sense, was an inspiration for me because I felt like, yo, when I was a young dude coming up in acting, he was a young dude coming up in acting. He seemed more nerdy than me, but I feel like I was kind of nerdy-ish. And he didn't feel like any role that he did, he had to compromise who he was to be that role. And I thought he was a damn good fucking actor. So it was like, yo, it was like, obviously white Jewish dude, but it was like, yo, all these things, like, okay, yo, I kind of can see myself in this. And then now, my new, modern favorite actor, I don't know if I can have him as a choice anymore. Joking, even though I shouldn't joke about it. But after seeing fucking Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania and even more so Creed 3, it was Jonathan Majors. And I mean, the man, everybody was talking about how amazing this dude was.
As an actor, boy.
Now,
boy, as an actor, that dude is amazing.
Because if you see the subtleties of what he did for his character as Diamond Dane in Creed 3, the little subtle shit, let alone the macro shit.
I haven't, but whatever I've seen him in, he's been good. I haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp. I will say that to people out there. But whatever I've seen him in, he's been good. He's a great actor. And I was like, yo,
Creed
who else was a good actor? Kevin Spacey. So being a good actor doesn't mean you're necessarily a good person, but you can still be a phenomenal actor. Two things can be true.
So far, thankfully, Jonathan Majors, and I say so far because who the fuck knows, but so far, thankfully, Jonathan Majors hasn't gone on record and said some dumbass shit after what he did. Well, it was my good time for me to decide that I need to wrestle with my own inner demons and my sexual. Shut your dumbass. I'm sorry. Let's not go down that road.
Oh, I just said he wasn't a good person.
No, I'm not talking about you. No, I'm not talking about you. Not you.
I'm not defending him. I just said two things can be true.
I know you're not. Because yes, Kevin Spacey was a phenomenal actor, and then boom, House of Cards gets canceled. Like there you go, or they have to like pivot, a different direction or something. Pivot, right?
Pivot.
Anyway, fuck the segue.
Let's pivot to the ending, shall we?
I couldn't think of a good segue because I just started going up about Kevin Spacey saying that dumbass shit.
And if you want to see more dumbass shit, well, you know.
Well, I mean, shit, speak for yourself. If you want to see some amazing shit. Now, if you want to follow yours truly, if you want to follow us on our respective socials, you can go ahead and find yours truly anywhere you stream your music. I may have mentioned it once or twice or alluded to it, but yes, I am a rapper. I get my rap on from time to time. So anywhere you stream your music, go ahead and look me up. I'm speaking too fast. Look me up under the name Superjaz. That's spelled Superjaz. Go ahead and find my debut solo album, My Secret Identity, that I dropped back in 2021. You may have to put in Superjaz, My Secret Identity, because I'm not that famous yet. Also, you can go ahead and find me on Twitter under the name Superjaz2. That's Superjaz number 2. And of course, you can find and follow me on Instagram under the name Forever Superjaz, the word forever spelled correctly. And you can go ahead, find me on Facebook. I started a production company and I am producing my inaugural show in a few weeks, actually, My How Time Flies. But it won't be the first show. I say inaugural, like it's going to come around every June. But I'm producing my first show June 16th. But the production company is Aquarian Rising Productions. So go ahead and find me on Facebook under Aquarian Rising Productions. Give that page a like. The first show is going to be June 16th through the 18th. And the 23rd through the 25th, it's called A Colored Funeral, 517 Theater Lane. If you happen to be in the St. Louis area, tickets are $15 at the door. Fridays and Saturdays at 8, Sundays at 2. That motherfucker opens in about 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, it does.
That is crazy how time flies. That being said, where can they find me?
Well, y'all gonna find me here every week, every Wednesday on the Whatever We Want podcast. You can also find me elsewhere on YouTube on the channel feogrande. That's Feo Grande. That's a show I do. I have a show I do on that channel called This Guy Hasn't Seen that I do with my good friend and friend of the show, Bill Smith.
Shout out to Bill.
Indeed, indeed. You can catch that with new episodes every week, every Tuesday. This week, I believe we did Red Notice. Red Notice. And next week we have...
It's a fun movie. It's a fun movie.
Yeah, next week we have The Prestige.
Which...
But I also have a Twitter and Twitch, just Giotavi, Giotavi. Come on in, stop on by. Fuck the Celtics. Ha ha ha. Ha 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 ha.
Well, whether it be about that, what are we gonna talk about next time?
Whatever we want.
Be nice to yourself, everybody.
Adios, this.